Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. We have a great show for you tonight. Casper Leach is here. We have some clips from his old Time for Hemp television series 20 years ago with Mr. Timothy Leary. Timothy Leary's dead. But
secret.
We also have John Cornette and Jan Sue ready to bring you some incredible music here, along with a new song written especially for this TV show. We have the Pot Poet will be on with his Caregiver Blues, and we'll be taking your phone calls right after we bring out our infamous Dancing Cannabis Leaves.
I feel the force.
Now I'd like to introduce Mr. John Cornette and his wonderful partner, Jan Sue. How are you tonight, folks?
Hi. Very good. Very good. Thank you very much, Paul.
Good.
Let
All
Jan
right.
Sue lead off here.
Okay, here we go. Wild Irish Rose.
All right.
Thank you.
Jan Sue, is that a dulcimer?
It's a dulcimer.
That's lovely.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, John Cornette and Jan Sue, with the wonderful bit of musical accompaniment. How are you doing this week, Casper? Welcome back.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here.
It's good to have you back,
I
Casper.
see you've got a little show and tell
I've
going
got
here.
a show and tell. We'll be having that a little bit later in the show. We have my most prized items out here from our medical marijuana antique collection. We're also taking your live phone calls at that number there on your screen. It's 503-288-4448. It's 503-288-4448. If you have a question about ending adult marijuana prohibition, restoring industrial hemp, or helping medical marijuana patients, then give us a call. So
We've had some interesting news. Apparently they listened to the show, Paul. I hear that the governor of Washington is actually trying to get the rescheduling done of this wonderful plant known as hemp.
that's right. Earlier this week, the Governor Christine Gregoire of Washington State and Governor Chafee, can't remember his first name, of Rhode Island, they both came out with a press conference that was later endorsed by the governor of Vermont. And that is, they came out asking for the rescheduling of marijuana. Now, the federal government's been petitioned several times to reschedule marijuana out of Schedule 1, and it has been ordered to do so 4 times by 4 different administrative law judges. And in every case, the administrator of the Drug Enforcement Administration said there was no evidence that medical marijuana was a useful medicine. And even though these 4 different judges, one of them, Judge Francis Young, back in 1988, wrote that marijuana is safer than many common foods that we eat. And marijuana is the safest therapeutically active drug known to man. But still, and it was just like 500 pages of reports and testimony, and the DEA administrator said, oh, there's no evidence. They just lie. They lie for marijuana prohibition. And that's what we're here, is to end adult marijuana prohibition, restore industrial hemp, and help medical patients.
You would think that the governor of Oregon would do that, considering, you know, that
he's not a good guy.
Well, no, I heard today on Dr. Oz.
He's done some good things, but when it comes to marijuana, he's smoked marijuana. We know a lot of people who smoked marijuana with him, but he lies about that.
Like I said, I heard on Dr. Oz today that owning a dog can be healthy for you overall. And so that means that the overall health of the state must be healthy because we got a dog for governor. Huh? Just saying.
We're going to take a phone call and come on with our resident in-house Mad Hatter poet. But let's take a phone call. Welcome to the show, caller.
Yes, hello.
Howdy.
How are you?
Doing well. How are you tonight?
Good. Kudos to John and Jan on a great performance there.
Yeah.
I'm calling. My name is Davey Watson. I'm calling. I don't technically represent the Oregon Medical Cannabis University here in Portland, Oregon.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, in Hillsboro, Oregon.
Uh-huh.
But we are putting on a open mic on December 30th. That's a Friday between 6 and 10. I know you guys are on the air then, but we just wanted to...
we're not going to be on the air on December 30th. We're actually going to have a show next week on the 9th. Then we'll be running tape shows with interviews of other people because I've got work to do and things to go take care of over the last 3 weeks. So next week will be our last show until January, our last live show. We will have tape shows, though, through every Friday night.
Yeah. But, yeah, if there's any card holders out there that are going to be free on December 30th, we're out. The omcu.net is the web site there, and we're on 2900 Southwest Cornelius Pass Road, Suite 547 to 548 here in Hillsboro, Oregon. And Claudia sends her best. She speaks very highly of you guys.
Great.
And we also have other events. If you just go to the omcu.net, and we have other events coming up. But
cool.
If there's any musicians, I know there's a lot of them out there. It's a great way to meet other musicians as well. And also, we can also videotape performances. I like to videotape performance myself. And if they're any good or if the people like it, we'll go ahead and post it on YouTube for them. So it's a great way to get to know people.
All right. What's the name of your establishment again?
Oregon Medical Cannabis University.
All right.
Excellent.
Well, thanks for calling, and good luck with that December 30th event.
Yeah, 6 to 10.
All right. Thanks
omcu.net. Thanks, guys.
omcu.net. All right. Thank you. Have a good night. If you have a question, comment, or anything to call us about tonight, feel free to call that number on your screen there now, 503-288-4448. Now we're going to jump over to the illustrious pot poet. How are you doing, pot
I'm doing
poet?
great. Exciting to be here.
So you have written a ditty about caregivers.
It's called The Caregiver Blues.
All right, go
And it's
right.
actually a poem. It's not a song. It's
For
got
our
a happy ending.
long-term viewers, they might not know you've been on doing various chants and poems a number of times before.
Well, you know, I spend a lot of time in the car
Yeah,
on the road. And
helping medical marijuana patients.
That's true. Yep, and that's and so during all those long miles, you know, there's a lot
To think about.
Your head wanders around in circles, and I wind up with some stuff that rhymes once in a while.
All right.
So this is the Caregiver Blues, and it does have a happy ending. So don't cry too much as we go along. I went to see my grower to get a little smoke. He rolled his eyes and looked as if I'd told a clever joke. I only been your grower for a month or 3, says he. But when that harvest comes round, brother, you can count on me. Well, I went to see my grower to get a little grass. He says, the harvest, it's a-coming, but we're going to need some cash. We need more lights and ballast, and some more dirt would be good. But this crop's going to be dynamite if everything goes like it should. Well, I went to see my grower to get a little weed. He said, the harvest, it's coming, but the whole crop's gone to seed. I don't know how that male got in the garden, but don't you worry none. There's another crop coming up, and this will be the one. Well, I went to see my grower to get a little ganja. He said, man, I saw this one coming. You can't say I didn't warn you. We should have bought them sirens, lights, and alarms, but you didn't want to pay. And now the thieves have come and gone and taken our crop away. It couldn't have been my best friends, Bob and Joe and Zach. Hell, man, I grew up with those guys. We go way back. It must have been your cousin Chuck. You remember when we borrowed his truck? That little fender bender accident thing, man, that was just bad luck. That weren't my fault. Well, I went to see my grower to see if I could get a little green. And I could not help but notice that brand new 187-inch flat screen. Or that new Camaro in the driveway. Or his new girlfriend's new pants. With that fancy Italian label kind of thing you or me would probably have to finance. Well, I did say this has a happy ending, so here it comes. See, Julie grows my garden now. And her buds are tight and green, with flecks of purple, red, and gold, and her stems are strong and lean. When Julie brings out her harvest, it's like nothing you ever seen, with flowers the size of a Volkswagen bus. All right, well, not the size of a Volkswagen bus, but you know what I mean. Yeah, Julie brings out her harvest. She says her bounty is mine. Julie grows my garden now, and, well, everything's just fine.
All right. The pot poet. Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to be the poet of pot, but that sounds too much like poet of pot. So, you know, I think the pot poet works a little better.
Cool.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for another wonderful poem. So you never know what you're going to get on this show. And so that was pretty good, though, I thought. We have a caller who's been standing by. Welcome to the show, caller. Howdy.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. I read an article in the Cannabis Connection in Oregon about evidence from a research facility that cannabis kills cancer cells.
Yeah.
Also, there was a follow-up that they are being suppressed and threatened by a government agency to keep this silent. What is being done about that?
Well, you know, there's a guy out in Nova Scotia, and the Canadian government's harassed him too. His name's Rick Simpson. He's come up with an oil recipe that's high in THC and CBD. He recommends that as a cancer cure. Recent studies have shown that cannabis cannabinoids can kill a variety of different cancers. You know, with breast cancer, there's about 15 different kinds. There's different types of prostate cancer, several different forms of lung cancer. We don't recommend that you just use cannabis as a therapy, but it is a good adjunct therapy for cancer treatment. In fact, the majority of oncologists for the past 30 years have recommended cannabis for its anti-nausea properties for people undergoing chemotherapy. So the best thing, we have some,
green card.
there's a newspaper out there called O'Shaughnessy's that keeps you abreast of all the latest science. All the articles are written by doctors. We have copies of those in our offices. You can find them down at 105 Southeast 18th Avenue here in Portland, or you can pick them up from us directly, or you can go out online and see their website. But the best thing we can do is educate others. And, you know, here in Portland, our representative is firmly in favor of medical marijuana and marijuana legalization and industrial hemp. His name's Earl Blumenauer. So we can be thankful that we have one of the best cannabis-aware congressmen in the country. He sponsored bills for several sessions. But we can just try to educate people like our Governor, Dr. John Kitzhaber, MD. He is an opponent of medical cannabis. We can educate our state lawmakers as well, and just try to educate and help. I'll tell you, the best thing you can possibly do is help us legalize marijuana. We have a petition right now. We have 40,000 signatures. We need to turn in a total of 87,213 valid registered Oregon voter signatures by July 6th. You can go to that website right there and print out a single signature petition, sign it, and mail it to us. You can ask us, fill out the volunteer form. We'll mail you either via email if you want to print them, or via snail mail if you want us to mail them to you, signature sheets. You can come down to our office between noon and 4:30, Monday through Friday, at 2712 Northeast Sandy Boulevard, and get involved. We can use all the help we can get. I personally have spent tens of thousands of dollars, somewhere between over 60,000, I'm sure of that. And the total other donations we brought in are less than 10,000 for sure. So I've been trying to finance this to completely legalize marijuana where anyone can grow their own with no license and no registration. And you'll be able to sell the seeds and starts of all strains of cannabis with no regulation. If you want to sell the flowers or the drug or foods made from psychoactive cannabis or medicines, you'll have to get a permit and grow it through a licensing system that we specifically wrote to be upheld in federal court. And so you can find out more by going to our website there at cannabistaxact.org. Or go to our web portal at hemp.org and scroll down a little bit and you'll see it there. That's HEMP.org. But that's the best thing you can do. You know, right now the state here in Oregon just raised the fee for medical marijuana patients from $100 to $200. And if you name someone else as your grower, you got to pay extra $50, so it's $250. So that's an increase of 150%. For a lot of people, the fee had been $20. That's jumped up to $100. And if you name someone else as your grower, you got to pay that $50 fee, so $150. That is a 900% increase. So we want to end that malarkey. We can't be balancing the budget on the backs of the sick and dying. We want to completely legalize hemp so we can restore it for fuel, food, fiber, and medicine. You know, marijuana, cannabis, hemp produces more fuel, more food, more fiber, more medicine than any other plant on this planet. If there is any single plant on our planet that is sacred, cannabis is surely it. And so we want to legalize it, and that's what our initiative will do, and we can sure use your help.
Well, I'd be glad to do that. But there's one other question I would like to ask.
Okay.
I'd like to know why nothing is being done about the illegal acts of Herbert Walker Bush when he illegally reclassified marijuana to Schedule 1.
Well, you know, it really wasn't him. Cannabis was, they came up with the scheduling system in the Controlled Substances Act of 1972, and then they set it at Schedule 1. And it was Schedule 1 from the day they came up with the scheduling system. It was really the petrochemical industry that made up the marijuana myth that prohibited marijuana back in the 30s. And so they're the ones who made it illegal. George Herbert Walker Bush, George Bush Sr., number 41, President number 41, he ended the compassionate use program where patients could access federal marijuana. There are 4 people in the United States who still receive federal marijuana. One of them's here in Oregon, Elvie Masika. She's gotten quite a bit of publicity lately, and she certainly deserves it. She's a great activist and a wonderful person. So we're glad to see her story be told. But you know, the federal government gives her £6 a year, and George Herbert Walker Bush, who had been the head of the CIA, just happened to be in Dallas when JFK was assassinated back in 1963. Anyway, he is the one who ended the compassionate use program. Of course, he made his first money drilling for oil, and his father, Prescott Bush, was a Nazi sympathizer who worked with Adolf Hitler. So that's why we have the Bush family in politics. They're corporate apologists for the petrochemical industry. So,
well, I'm well aware of the history of the Bush family. I'm in my 60s, and I've been a radical activist since the 1960s and was involved in the police riot at Ohio State.
Oh, really? Wow,
yeah.
Cool. Well, keep up the activism. Help us with our petition. We really need the help. I would be so grateful.
Well, I will actually, Monday I'll be coming down to your shop on Saturday.
Wonderful.
All right.
Well, thanks for calling.
Thank you very much for answering that.
Good night.
You guys have a safe day.
Too. If you have a question or comment for us tonight, you can call us at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. So you started doing your show, and I just want to plug your show. You have a radio show, Time for Hemp, that's on Monday through Friday. Here in the Pacific, it's at 10 a.m. till 11. If you're on the East Coast, it's 1 till 2. And you can figure it out from there, wherever else you might be in this world. But you've been doing that show for a number of years. But before that, you did a TV show back in 1991. For how long a period of time?
About a year and a half.
About a year and a half. And you had interviewed a lot of luminaries, including Timothy Leary, who we're going to run a clip with here in just a moment.
I did.
Willie Nelson.
Yes.
One of my buddies.
Yes.
Lots of other people.
Jack Hare, Keith Stropp, Steve Bloom when he was editor of High Times Magazine, Kevin Zeese when he was acting as the co-founder of the Drug Policy Foundation. My bad.
Yeah,
and,
it was Drug Policy Foundation then, but now it's changed its name and merged with George Soros's group and become the Drug Policy Alliance.
And so, yeah, I was blessed to be able to be utilized as somebody to ask the questions and have the experts sit down and enjoy the opportunity to speak the truth without being edited. One of the things that we thought was most annoying about the press at the time was anytime someone like Elvie Maseka would sit down or Dr. Todd McArear would sit down with a member of the press and tell the truth about the medicinal aspects of this wonderful plant or the history of this plant or the industrial aspects, the press would sit there for an hour and a half and interview everything, tape everything, and then they go back to the studio and edit it down to about 30 seconds, giving a very slanted side of the afternoon saying, oh boy, we're going to be able to show why it is we want to re-legalize marijuana so we can smoke it, and that had nothing to do with the interviews. So Time for Hemp became a tool for activists to come on to a program and speak the truth about the plant without having to worry about being edited or being taken out of context. So, and it still is that way today.
Well, we have a film clip we're going to roll here, your interview from back in '91 with Mr. Timothy Leary. So stay tuned and enjoy, and we'll be back in just a moment to take phone calls, questions, and show and tell, or sharing. We like to call it sharing nowadays.
Yeah.
Right now, the government is spending much more money crushing the production of hemp. And another thing that puzzles me about the insanity or even the diabolical nature of the right-wing religious Republican situation, why do they go after the American farmers? They spend more money fighting hemp in this country. You know, in California, which is my home state, hemp was the #1 agricultural cash product. In Iowa, in Tennessee, and like
back in Indiana where I'm from.
Yeah,
as
how
well.
many states?
At least that we're aware of, 28 or more.
Yeah, honest farmers
Yeah.
out there trying to make a living growing hemp. And the government is out there arresting these good-hearted, free enterprise farming agricultural Americans. Meanwhile, down in Colombia and Peru, these gangsters, the cocaine cartel people, are making billions of dollars, and we're spending less money on them. It's how come? I think you're probably right that they don't want people to be using hemp because it would interfere with the oil monopoly. It would interfere with the wood pulp monopoly. And also, I think there's something really religiously diabolic and evil about the right-wing Christians in this country who go after hemp because they hate people to have pro-choice and to make your own decisions about your life. And
They seem to be some of the people, too, who overlook the medical aspects of hemp.
absolutely, yeah.
Now, from your perspective and being a psychiatrist as you are, you've had the opportunity to become acquainted with many different aspects of healing and some of the more positive benefits of the uses of hemp. Could you share that, please?
Well, there have been an enormous number of studies that show that that hemp and cannabis is extremely necessary for certain forms of glaucoma. You simply have to have it. There, in many states, these fanatic anti-pleasure people are so afraid that the patient who's going blind might enjoy the experience that you got to go blind, die, but don't have a good time because the Republicans are in power. I mean, that's apparently the logic here.
Aren't they using it too for anorexia and for
Exactly.
cancer, AIDS?
I mean, there's one terrible thing about hemp, and I don't want to get into the use of marijuana, but I got to be honest with you. There are some terrible side effects of smoking or using marijuana. One is it's called refrigerator blackout. I mean, you get the munchies.
Oh, okay.
You know, you smoke a joint, and suddenly there you are. The next thing you know, you've eaten 9 pounds of fig Newton, and say now that's dangerous. You gotta be careful there. On the other hand, if you're dying of cancer or malnourished because of stomach problems, and you don't have any appetite, hemp, of course, is the logical and obvious and natural medicine to give you an appetite to see you through that period. But again, a good true Puritan would rather have you die
Now we also
have a good meal while you're giggling.
we also know that it's good for stress to calm you down. And from a viewpoint of a psychiatrist, is there any benefits for someone who might be having emotional or mental problems, as opposed to giving them like Valiums or some of these other stronger drugs that seem to be causing problems, like Prozac and so on?
Yeah. Well, number one, I don't want to come out like a smart ass here, and every psychological situation is individual and needs its own, its own pharmacology. So I don't want to generalize, but certainly the things about hemp is it's not addictive. It's extremely it doesn't have any of the side effects of many of the euphorics and the antidepressants that are approved and that doctors' prescriptions will give you. So, yeah, there's a... you see, the thing about religious fanaticism is that the crazier, the nuttier, the wilder, and almost the more nonsensical the belief, the more you hang on to it. So that I've debated for many years a man who was the head of the DEA for about 5 years. His name is Peter Bensinger.
Yes, you have.
And I can't believe him. He's going after hemp, and he's trying to say that, hemp, they gave a lot of some mice some hemp, and it made male mice, teenage male mice, and it made their breasts grow a little. So he said, why, if you college boys, you see if I'm going, why is he going? There are real problems of crack babies in the inner city, and alcohol, which is our #1 drug here, and nicotine. 500,000 people die a year from that. Here's this guy blathering on about the dangers of I don't know. He never did mention whether marijuana would make girls' breasts bigger, but I don't even want to get into that. The whole thing is.
Okay,
so
now you've
silly.
also had a few debates with G. Gordon Liddy too.
Yeah, that's right. I have that. Yeah.
And he seems to think that marijuana, i.e., hemp, is one of the plants that's going to lead to a complete social breakdown in our structure of government. And you seem
Well,
to
I know
stand-
Gordon Liddy. I've been debating him. I've known him for years, over 25 years. I know exactly how his mind works. And like a good army man, like a good military man, like a good policeman, like a good follower of his leader, Richard Nixon.
Okay.
Gordon Liddy has never had one unauthorized thought in his life. So he reads the line, so he knows that. But LSD makes you jump out of windows. Marijuana makes you, what is that? I forget what it is.
I think it's the gateway drug.
Yeah, it's a gateway drug, yeah.
That's right, it's the gateway drug.
Yeah.
So that was Mr. Timothy Leary. You interviewed him back in, was it 1991?
1991, and
I got to meet him in 92. This guy, Steve Cubby, who's
I know
sponsoring
Steve.
an initiative down in California. He introduced me over the phone, and I went and met him and hung out with him one afternoon, gave him some of my hemp paper I was selling at the time, and smoked some hemp, and spent a few hours with him. He was very gracious. He said thank you for the hemp and the hemp as I was leaving, and being the paper and the smoke. But then I got to go to his final birthday party in Beverly Hills. He had a lovely home there in Beverly Hills.
an amazing man.
I was in 94.
And I look back at that, and I can't believe I've been fighting this fight this long. And I
We've
thought for
aged
sure.
just a little bit, as the camera will tell.
I had hair back then, but here's the deal: we're not giving up until this law's changed. Period.
That's right. Too many of our friends have fallen along the way. We are going to continue the fight till our final breath, unless we can win it first. And I sure hope all of us out here live to see the day when we restore hemp.
Absolutely, and we'll be having more of those flashbacks, apparently, on the show.
We're starting to
next year.
convert some of your old tapes into digital form so we can run them on our TV show in the future. So we have a caller, then we're going to come in here and do some show and tell, as we used to call it. Now it's sharing, but let's take that
Are
call.
you sure you want me on your show? I'm a Republican.
Well, it's okay with me. I won't hold that against you.
Hey, Paul.
I was a libertarian once.
Yeah.
Well, I don't agree with either party's position on everything. I have to pick and choose what works best for me.
But I understand. I had to tell my parents I was a pot-smoking gay Republican, and they couldn't handle the fact that I was a Republican.
Well, I'm sorry. That's too bad. We can't keep poking the finger at one party, though, guys. I'm a Republican. I'm conservative. I have a card. I support you. I watch you all the time.
Thank you.
So, don't. Okay.
Well, that was
I don't wanna
Timothy
take
Leary. That was 20 years
responsibility.
ago in the midst of the drug war, and we do know that the Bushes and the oil companies are the ones who fed us the lie and named hemp marijuana. And, yeah, it goes across party lines, though. Democrats are just as guilty.
Not all Republicans agree with that.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's my point. But anyway, I do have a question.
Okay.
I would like the phone number for the grower, Julie, that poem was written for.
I understand. I understand.
I want to know that
Julie
girl.
works in our Bellevue office up outside of Seattle. So you just call our Bellevue office and talk to Julie, but she's a Washington resident. So,
well, that's not going to work. I'm an Oregonian.
Yeah, I
okay, my
understand.
question or my request is, please, would you go over the fees, the amount the fees are now, and also would you address if Social Security disability, not SSI, but disability qualifies you for the reduced rate?
It qualifies you for the partially reduced rate. So there's 3 rates now and an extra fee they'll throw on top if you name someone else as your grower. So the 3 fees are $200 for most of us. And if you're on SSI or you get food stamps, not SSI, I'm confused, SSD. If you're on Social Security disability, you get food stamps, it's $100. If you get SSI, then it's $20. That's Social Security Supplemental Security Income Program. Then you only get like $600 a month. Some people with disability might get $1,200 a month. It depends on how much you made.
They can almost afford to live on that.
Yeah, they could almost, they couldn't pay the rent, but.
Oh, yeah. My Social Security check doesn't even pay the taxes on our house.
Yeah.
So okay, thanks, guys. I really enjoyed
that's how
the
it works.
show.
Then there's an extra $50 fee if you name someone else as your grower. So those are the fees. There's $200 for most people. If you're on disability or food stamps or the Oregon Health Plan, it's $100. And if you're on SSI, Supplemental Security Income, part of the Social Security program, not disability, it's $20 still.
And do you get a discount
Okay.
by listing the governor?
I appreciate that. Thank you, Paul.
You're
you guys
welcome.
have a good evening.
I'm sorry in the state of Colorado, they just dropped their fee from $90 a year to $35 a year, effective January 1st.
Nice.
If you go to
Well,
Hawaii,
how does Oregon
and
justify this?
it's the Republicans. Sorry, the Republicans did this. They snuck it into the health budget bill, and nobody saw it till it was too late. We were in there lobbying. I wasn't personally doing it, but our organizations were, and they didn't see it in the health budget bill. And so they put it in there to balance the budget bill for health care and the health department and the services they provide. So that's how it happened. It was sneaky.
Did you guys see that show last night on Discovery about
Weed Wars with my good friend Steve D'Angelo? I've known Steve for 25 years. I used to stay in his house when he lived in Washington, D.C. He used to organize the Washington Smoke-In on the White House lawn right under the Washington Monument. But yeah, he...
Did you see what the city of Oakland did to them? With
yeah, now he has a
$1 million?
5% tax, and he sells $21 million a year. And they came in and said, we want you to pay a year of your 5% tax in advance before you even have the sale. That doesn't make any sense at all. He just has to fight that, and he'll win. But, it makes good drama for the Discovery Channel.
Yeah, it does.
It's better than Pawn Stars, I think.
Pawn?
Paul, thanks so much for everything you do for us, and I'm going to be signing your petition.
Thank you. I want to just see this stuff legal, and we're going to change the whole economic paradigm when we pass our Oregon Cannabis Tax Act. Instead of this is the real key to prohibition. The whole drug issue is a smokescreen. It's not about drugs. It's about money and power and the continued centralization of economic and political control. And the main issue, it's really the seed and the seed oil, because you can make 3 times more biodiesel fuel from cannabis than you can from any other plant. When we legalize hemp and cannabis, and we'll never have hemp and hemp seed oil as cheap as it should be until we legalize marijuana, what they rename marijuana. When we legalize it, we'll see in a few short years most of our cars running on hemp oil, most of our energy coming from biofuels, mainly hemp oil, most of our paper and our clothing coming from hemp stems. So much surplus food when we press those seeds and take out the oil has high protein hemp seed meals left over. Hemp seed, that protein contains exactly the same 8 amino acids we need for human health in just the balance. It's the perfect human food. And so, in fact, it's the oldest crop. It was definitely among the first crops cultivated by humans. It's agreed by all archaeologists at least 12,000 years ago. And it could have been 35,000 years ago. Recent evidence shows it was being cultivated 35,000 years ago. So when we legalize it, we're going to change the economic paradigm. Instead of sending our money to these OPEC nations, Saudi Arabia, Nigeria, Venezuela, where those despots put it in their Swiss bank accounts, we'll be sending it to our farmers who can use that hemp seed oil for our fuel, our plastics, everything that's made out of petroleum, only non-toxically, instead of pumping carbon out of the earth and into our atmosphere. The hemp plant will take it out of the atmosphere, and when we burn it, it'll go back in the atmosphere. There's a balance. So when we legalize hemp, we're going to change the whole economic paradigm. Our farmers will be getting that money instead of these rich bankers and despots, and that's going to revitalize our economy and change our whole economic paradigm.
But Paul, till you get people to understand that hemp is not marijuana. I have friends in Kona who own a hemp store.
Oh, I've been there. I bought stuff at that store. They're on
the
waterfront. Yeah.
Yeah, you know who I am. You used to be my grower.
Oh, hi.
Anyway,
I've grown for so many people, and I never charged you a dime, did I?
No, you never. You were very honest, Paul.
Thank you.
But my comment was going to be that the tourists come into this hemp shop all the time and make comments like they're going to buy a shirt and go smoke it. Because people are so ignorant, they don't understand that hemp is not marijuana, that the drug.
I understand.
Until we educate people to that fact,
I'm trying. I know you know that.
I need to go, Paul. Let
Thanks
somebody
for
else
calling.
get in.
We're going to do our sharing
bye-bye.
now. You have a good night.
That coincides
You too.
with my
Bye-bye.
DARE program tonight.
So coming up, what was that?
So that coincides with my DARE program tonight.
All right. We have something happening at the Cannabis Cafe, the 10th Oregon Medical Cannabis Awards. The Oregon Medical Cannabis Awards are coming up here on the 10th.
And what is that?
It is a judging and awards for the 28 strains, I think, that were entered in that contest that got in there. And so it's coming up. I know Danny Danko from High Times Magazine will be there. You can find out more. Just check out the Cannabis Cafe.
And what, you just show up? And
I have entered in the
buds?
past. I'm not entering this time, and I'm going to show off a couple of my awards here.
Is that what you do? Show up and smoke the buds and see which one's the best?
No, this has been done in advance. They give out 28 grams to 28 patients, and they get 45 days to judge it, and they put it in a little scorecard, and then they judge it on several criteria: aroma, fragrance. That's the same thing, isn't it? A taste, medicinal effect, potency, appearance, all of those things. And then they just add up all the numbers, and whichever one comes up with the highest number wins.
Nice.
Back in 2007, I came up with the 3rd place trophy for my strawberry cough strain. And this was the award then.
That's pretty.
Then in 2008, back to 2007, I also won this nifty ribbon. What was it for? 3rd place for something. And so then I also, in 2008, that was our banner year for my outdoor crop. We won 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 6th place. This is the trophy I won for 2nd place. I also got this nifty thing with it. I have other trophies, but we don't have to show them all. Then, next we come to Alterna shampoo. Alterna financed a hemp, see if you can close in on that just a little bit more. Hey, that's pretty good. Alterna makes this hemp shampoo. They financed a test garden for 4 years. Well, they did the first year, and then the state of Hawaii paid for it. In Hawaii, they grew a test hemp garden for several years. Dr. David West of Minnesota kind of oversaw that, and this is one of the products, their hemp shampoo. You can find hemp body products, lotions, shampoos, conditioners, all kinds of stuff in any beauty store. Right next to it, this is a commemorative bottle made in 1971 by the British Society of Pharmacologists.
That's beautiful.
And so this is a reproduction of a bottle from the 1800s, and it was produced by the British Royal Society of British Pharmacologists.
Is that gold on the front of that?
Yeah, it's gold leaf on there. That's
That is
true.
gorgeous.
Tincture of cannabis. This is an actual bottle with what they call a lug label under glass, and it's a fluid extract of cannabis. This is what you go to your apothecary store back in the 1870s, 1880s, and they'd give you a dose of cannabis out of that. Then right next to it, maybe close in just a little more if the camera will do that, we have a couple of products from Park Davis. Park Davis has this powdered extract of cannabis, and it's Indian cannabis, you'll see, and it is hash. It's keef, the powdered resin that was sifted from the buds of the most potent strains. Park Davis also sold you a little 1 ounce cube of cannabis. I have it right in here, and it both of these still have their contents in them, incidentally, which is nifty. This one's about half full. This is it gives you a recipe on how to make your own hemp tincture with this one, also from Park Davis of Detroit, Michigan. We have an office in Detroit too. Then right next door, we have 1 pint tincture of cannabis, number 17. Now, both Park Davis and Eli Lilly, this one's from Eli Lilly, both of which companies exist today, they made about 10 different cannabis compounds. About 6 of those were pure cannabis. then they combined it with chloroform and opiates and had some other medicines, one called chlorodyne and others. And last but not least, I've shown this before, but I haven't shown it in a while. This is my oldest and most valuable part of my cannabis antique bottle collection. This is from 1840. This is a jug that was made in India and shipped to London. And I picked it up from a London antique dealer. And so it is an 1840 tincture of cannabis bottle from London that was produced in India and shipped to London. Cannabis was first reintroduced to Western pharmacology in 1839 by a Scottish physician who'd spent several years in India named William O'Shaughnessy. And William O'Shaughnessy might have had a hand in bringing this bottle back. This is our oldest bottle. It's about 160 years old. So that is our piece de resistance.
Well, I don't know how you got those bottles, considering that the government says that there's no medical value to marijuana, but yet you've got from these pharmaceutical companies medical marijuana bottles. Now, how did that happen?
That's good. Just ponder that for a moment, viewers, and we're going to take another phone call. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hey, what's up, you guys? Hey, long-time viewer and caller. Man, first of all, I just want to say those bottles are super cool.
Thank you. We display some of them on a rotating basis in our office on Southeast 18th. We just got that display up here about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Right on. Basically, it was perfect timing for you to break those out, too, because basically what I wanted to call was I just had a comment and just kind of a thing where, you know, I'm a recovering opiate addict, actually, and when I was doing my recovery, honestly, the only thing that would work for me for my not necessarily so much pain, but my eating and my sleeping and the restless leg and all the other nonsense that went along with doing that was, you know, the medical marijuana was the only thing that really helped. And, you know, you have all these doctors trying to get you on all these different, you know, basically pills as well, but, you know, other drugs that were similar to what I was already taking, just on a different level. But really,
you know, this bottle here, this Park Davis bottle from 1910, it says explicitly that it's for the habituates of opiates, chloroform, cocaine, and for delirium tremens associated with alcohol. Wow. Cannabis was traditionally used to kick all of those drugs.
Right,
and
right.
Like you used it, it's been used since time immemorial.
That's
to
amazing.
help people get off really dangerous drugs and just get really high.
I thought it was a gateway to all those drugs.
In my research online, sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
When I was doing my research online, there was nothing being said about medical marijuana or anything. So I really want more people to understand and be aware that, you know, like jokingly with the movie that you guys played, that the marijuana was a gateway tool. I want people to realize that it's actually a rehab tool as well for a lot of people. So that's all, and I really appreciate your time, and thank you for putting on your show, and your efforts have gone a long way, Paul, and I've been watching you since you've been doing this for many years, so I really appreciate
15 years as of October. We've done, what show number is this, 610?
Nice.
609. 606. 12. 612.
Well, I was going to say, I'm 32, and I've been watching you since I was probably 16 or 17. So, yeah, you've been on for a while, brother. I really appreciate you guys, so keep up the good work.
I'm proud to be able to do it. Thank you. I really think that cannabis is the Creator's most sacred gift to humanity, and that it's a bellwether issue, that the future of freedom depends on us legalizing cannabis and restoring industrial hemp. Our biosphere and our planet and our ecology depends on us restoring industrial hemp, and I'm a believer and been trying to educate. I'm glad I could help. If you have a question or comment for us tonight, you can call us at 503-288-4448. We might get two more callers. I want to put in a plug for our doctors. We have doctors all across the United States who can help you get a medical marijuana permit. If you need help locating a doctor who can get you a medical marijuana permit, we can even get multi-state medical marijuana permits. We schedule you with the right doctor that's licensed in multiple states. So give us a call at 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606 here in Portland. If you're outside of the Portland area, well, we're all across the country, too. We're in 10 of the medical marijuana states right now. You can call us at 1-800-723-0188. That number right there. It's 1-800-723-0188. We have another caller. Welcome to the show, caller.
This me?
That's you.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, we're on TV.
Hey, I've have a question, and I guess you guys would be the one to answer it. Now, I've heard that for this medicinal marijuana, this whole list and database of people that get on and pay, they pay their fees, they pay their I guess their taxes, whatever you want to call it, to be able to purchase it legally. And now I have heard people, because I'm thinking about going on it myself, but I've been warned not to for the simple fact that it's just another track and trace database.
That's definitely not true. It protects you. I'm able to fly out with up to 1.5 pounds of marijuana out of the airport. The TSA agents there, even one guy told me, I always carry my volcano vaporizer. One guy told me his dad had one of these volcanoes and really liked it, and that medical marijuana had helped him. If you have a permit, it protects you. In fact, back in 2007, I personally received a subpoena for 17 patient records. And the state of Oregon's medical marijuana program also, at the same time, received a subpoena for those same 17 patient records. So we went to federal court, and I got a subpoena that said if I said anything about it, I would be charged with interfering in a federal drug investigation. So, of course, I had a press conference the next day, and when I had that press conference, the ACLU heard about it. So the ACLU came in and helped me. So I went to court with the Oregon Medical Marijuana Program and the ACLU attorneys representing THCF medical clinics and myself, and we quashed that subpoena. The federal judge quashed the subpoena and said that this doesn't rise to the level of interfering in a state law. And the state law here in Oregon says explicitly that the state has to keep it completely private. And so the federal government quashed that subpoena, and we didn't have to produce anything. So the state of Oregon went to court to defend patients, and so did we, and we won.
Sure, no, and that's beautiful. And I'm not talking about
you
for
can
the here
actually
and now.
get a copy of that judge's ruling on our website. Just go there, and where it says THCF protects patients' rights, click on that, and you can go and read the judge's ruling. It's a beautifully written ruling. He says in the end, THCF Medical Clinics represents the implementation and therefore the success of the state program, and therefore the subpoena is unreasonable, arbitrary, and capricious. And then he quashed it and ended that.
You guys have done a wonderful job. You've got your heels well planted in this fight. But what I'm concerned with is later on down the line. I'm talking, 5-10 years down the line.
We're going to legalize it. Just sign our petition. We're going to make this completely legal. It's going we're going to make it cheap. It's not going to, I can grow marijuana at $5 an ounce for the best bud. It's going to be cheap, and it's going to be plentiful. And we're going to legalize it. We're going to change the whole economy. The future of freedom depends on it. Cannabis is a bellwether issue. We've got to stand up and fight the power. And so sign our initiative, go to that website there, and help us.
I concur 100%. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll
All right,
check the website.
we're running out of time. I want to thank you for calling.
Well,
I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you, Casper, for coming on the show. You can check out Time for Hemp Radio on the American Freedom Radio Network every Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific Time, 1 o'clock Eastern Time. And go to our site, get our petition, come to our office, help us put this petition on the ballot. We got 40,000 signatures now, and we need 87,000. We still got to gather more. So help us put this on the ballot. Thanks for watching. We're going to jump out and end with the music of John Cornette and Jan Sue, and help us restore hemp. Good night.